Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and we are back with another episode of the Golden Age. This is a series of Warhammer Fantasy battle reports, and this is battle report number 75 that is fought between Dark Lord Mac as well as myself. Dark Lord Mac is playing the Legion of the Hellmouth, a 1,000 point Ogre Kigndoms army, and I'm bringing the Esoteric Order of the Thousand Suns, a 1,000 point Chaos Legion of Tzeentch army. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play some background music real quick. If you want to see exactly what we're bringing for this one, go ahead and pause and take a look at your own leisure. So that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Crom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Balor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then to hell with you.
And the scenario rules for this one is Battle Line. Once again, it's the most common typical style of Warhammer that we play with standard deployment as well as standard victory conditions. So with the scenario rules over, let's go and talk about the battle plan real quick. So here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, we're playing on a 4x4 table. I'm deployed on the near side of the table. My buddy Dark Lord Mac is deployed on the far side of the table. And as you can see, we both have really small armies because we're both playing at 1,000 points. Especially my army, I only got 2 units of 10 guys apiece. So this one's going to be very, very challenging for me. Pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to move as quick as I can across the table and try to engage with his forces. I am playing Chaos Warriors, so because of that, Chaos Legion rather. So because of that, Close Combat is a good friend of ours. I plan on magicking most of his forces off the table if I'm able to, using the Lore of Metal as well as using the Blue Fire of Tzeentch if I'm lucky. At the same time, I plan on flanking with my Screamers and engaging the center with my Exalted Hero, Ragnar the Red, as well as my infantry forces. Hopefully I can get them in a full envelopment and destroy them that way. And that pretty much makes up my deployment for this one. Alright, so go and talk about deployment for this one, for the Esoteric Order of the Thousand Suns. On the left-hand side, that is a unit called the Stormlords. It consists of 10 Chaos Warriors as Tzeentch. They got Musician as well as Standard Bearer, as well as Mark as Tzeentch. They have hand weapons, halberd, Chaos Armor, as well as Shield, as well as a Banner of Eternal Flame, so that way they get flaming attacks. Leading that unit as well is Svarthal the Weakest. He's a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. He's also a level 3 Wizard. He's got the Lore of Metal for his one. He's got a Chaos Armor as well as a hand weapon. He also has a Chaos Familiar, giving him +1 to his channeling attempts, as well as giving him the ability to know 4 spells, and he's using the Lore of Metal on this one as well. Next to them on the far right hand side, that is the Dunwich Horrors. As you know, Pink Horrors of Tzeentch. There's 10 of them with Musician as well as Standard Bearer. They also got level 1 Wizard. They got the Blue Fire of Tzeentch. And then right next to him on the right hand side, that is Ragnar the Red. He's my Exalted Hero of Tzeentch. He's got a Battle Standard Bearer upgrade. He's got the Marcus Tzeentch as well as Flail, Chaos Armor, as well as Shield. He's got the Talisman Preservation as well as the Third Eye of Tzeentch, and he's also riding a Demonic Mount as well. And that pretty much makes up my deployment here in the center. And on the far right hand side, these are the colors out of space. Those are 3 Screamers as Tzeentch. And that pretty much makes up my deployment for this one. Alright, across the battlefield is my opponent's Legion of the Hellmouth. This is Dark Lord Mac's deployment. On the far left-hand side, there's the Red Rovers. Those are 3 Ogre Bulls with Bellower as well as Standard Bearer. They got hand weapons, light armor, as well as Iron Fists. Right in the center is Stankum's Legion. His unit of 4 Iron Guts with Bellower, Standard Bearer, as well as great weapons and heavy armor. And leading that unit is Taijin Khan, the Right Fist of Hell. That's a Slaughter Master there on the far right-hand side. He's got a level 4 Wizard of the Lore of the Great Maw. He's got Fencer's Blades as well as Glittering Scales. And next on the left-hand side, that is Korgel Khan, the Giant Breaker. He is a Bruiser. He's got the Battle Standard Bearer upgrade. He's got a great weapon as well as heavy armor. And he's got the Giant Breaker big name, giving him +1 to his strength, and he may never refuse challenges. And that makes it the center deployment for the Legion of the Hellmouth. And on the far right hand side is his last unit, the Powder Gangers, which are 4 Lead Belchers. They're just Ogres with light armor as well as hand weapons and Lead Belcher guns. And that pretty much makes up his deployment for this one. So with deployment over with, we go directly to the top of turn number 1, and Dark Lord Mac and I roll off for initiative to see who go first. So that takes directly to the top of turn number 1, and I get to go first on this one. So this photo is taken after the movement phase, and pretty much I just cross the battlefield as quickly as I can. I march up the Stormlords as well as the Dunwich Horrors, and the same thing with Ragnar the Red leading up in the center, heading directly towards that pond and into the Ogre straight lines as well. At the same time, I also kind of march fly my Screamers of Tzeentch, the colors out of space, over to the right-hand side, out of the forest, around the King in Yellow statue, next to that hill on the top, so that way they can start flanking from the right, and once again, catching my opponent in development. And that's pretty much the plan I'm going with on this one. So here's a close-up of my infantry forces moving as quick as they can across the battlefield to engage the Ogre Kigndoms, who are on the other side of the table. And here's a close-up of the colors out of space, maneuvering around the right-hand flank in order to engage the ogres on the right-hand side. And that pretty much makes the move phase on this one. So the move phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. And during the magic phase, I had a pretty successful magic phase. Magic cast off 2 spells. The first one I cast off was Searing Doom, a magic missile spell directly into the Iron Guts. Unfortunately for me, though, I only was able to cause 1 wound when it was all said and done. Kind of rolled kind of lackluster when it came to my number of hits as well as the number of wounds as well. However, the real kicker, though, was the final transmutation spell, as you can see in this photograph. In case you're familiar how it works, what ends up happening is that you roll a d6 for each member of the unit. For characters who only have 1 wound, it's 5 up, they automatically leave the table because they're automatically killed. And if it's a multiple wound model, it only works on a roll of a 6 up. In this case, most of the Iron Guts survived. However, Taijin Khan, the Right Fist of Hell, fails this check. He rolls a 6. Because that, he gets sucked up and becomes a giant gold statue in the middle of the battlefield. At the same time, all units within 12 inches of the Iron Guts are also subject to stupidity. So right off the bat, killed my opponent's magic phase, which is pretty awesome. And since I don't shoot and nobody's in close combat, that pretty much ends turn number 1 for the Esoteric Order of the Thousand Suns. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 1 for the Ogre Kigndoms. This photo is taken after the move phase, and as you can see in this photo, there has been some dramatic movement. First thing that ends up happening is that Dark Lord Mac declares a charge of the Red Rovers, and those guys rolled a perfect boxcars, flying all the way across the battlefield and actually smashing directly into my Stormlords. So that part was pretty devastating as well. Plus, to get those bonuses for impact hits, so it's really going to work out for them for the most part. At the same time, when he tests to see if his Iron Guts can move, he fails his leadership score. So because of that, they're subject to stupidity, so all they do is just kind of stay there and just like look kind of stupid for the most part. Even with his reroll, he still failed his roll, so that part was really rough. At the same time, he also kind of wheels around his lead belcher so that way they can stare down the barrel directly towards my Screamers, so that way they can shoot at them during the next phase. And that pretty much makes up the movement phase on this one. So here's a close-up of the move phase where the Red Rover just went careening across the battlefield directly into my main line, so that part was kind of crazy. Not to mention, each one of those guys get D3 impact hits, which is pretty devastating in its own right. And here's a close-up of his Iron Guts, who are subject to stupidity right now, as well as his lead belchers getting ready to move and also cause some problems as well. And since he lost his wizard, he doesn't get a magic phase, so we skip the magic phase, and we go directly to the shooting phase. And in the shooting phase, I actually got kind of lucky on this one. When all said and done, Dark Lord Mac only managed to kill one of my Screamers. So like I said, got extremely lucky on them. I could see the number of shots he was throwing my way as well. He just pretty much flubbed his rolls when it came to the number of shots he had as well as his wounds. And I was rolling pretty well for my Warcry as well. So because of that, I lost 1 Screamer. So luckily for me though, demons are immune to psychology, so no need to take your panic test. So with the shooting phase over with, we go directly to the combat phase. And the combat phase is absolutely brutal for my opponent. Dark Lord Mac, when he went to roll for his impact hits, he only rolled 3 1s. So because they only get their normal 1 impact hit apiece, which is really demoralizing for the most part. Managed to kill one of my Chaos Warriors in the process of doing so with the impact hits. Unfortunately for him though, he was failing his rolls when it came to his attacks as well as his wounds for the most part. Nothing really much happened. And at the same time, I didn't do very well either. I managed to only kill 1 Ogre when it was all said and done. I think by the time we got it done, I think we actually tied it up with the combat on this one when it came to combat resolution, so we both stay engaged in another round of close combat because neither one of us is moving. So that takes directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Chaos Legion. This photo is taken after the movement phase, and pretty much for the most part, just some pretty dramatic movement. I charged my Screamers of Tzeentch, the colors out of space, directly into the lead belchers, so the powder gangers are now currently engaged in combat. At the same time, I also march up my Dunwich Horrors, moving up to the center of the table, getting closer within range of those Iron Guts, because I plan on tying those guys up for a round of combat if I can, if they decide to move forward. At the same time, I also charge in Ragnar the Red directly into the left-hand side of the Ogres as well, because I got 2 more Ogre Bulls I got to deal with in that unit, and so I might as well send my Exalted Hero to kind of deal with it. And that pretty much makes up my movement for that one. So here's a close-up of Svarfall the Weakest as well as the Stormlords still engaged with the Red Rovers, as well as Ragnar the Red charging over to the left-hand side to engage them. You can also see my Dunwich Horrors moving up to the front of the table towards the center, so that way they can start engaging those Iron Guts. At the same time, here's a close-up of my Collision of Space charging directly into the Powder Gangers and ready to chew those guys up with some lamprey attacks. And that pretty much makes the move phase on this one. So the move phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. And during the magic phase, I had a pretty successful one as well. First of all, I cast off Magical Blades of Ibon off on my Screamers of Tzeentch, giving them a +1 to their attack. So that part was kind of nice. And also, I managed to cast Final Transmutation onto this unit as well. Managed to kill another one of the Iron Guts as well, and putting Stupidity on them too. So that part was pretty awesome. However, to get the Final Transmutation spell, though, I did have to pay a price in order to make that happen. And if you can believe it, I used 4 power dice in order to make that spell go off, and all 4 came up as 6s. So because of that, I do miscast, and when I roll on the miscast table, I miscast a result of 3.
Klaatu! Marada!
So with that, a huge explosion just goes off right in the middle of the table. As you can see, they're managed to kill 5 of my own Stormlords, which is absolutely horrible. Ragnar the Red comes out unscathed on that one. And if you can believe it, I actually rolled 2 1s when it came to actually wounding the Ogre, so nothing much really came from that either. And to make matters worse, when I rolled to see exactly what happened to Svalthar the Weakest, my general, he gets sucked into the warp, and he gets killed because apparently he didn't read the disclaimer when it came to some of the spells that he was casting. So that part was absolutely insane. So I lose my general as well as pretty much the majority of my unit as well. So that part was pretty crazy. So with that over with, we go directly to the combat phase. As you can see in this photo, the colors out of space go up against the lead belchers, the powder gangers. Magic puts 2 wounds. Magic killed an ogre rather, and put 2 wounds onto another one. So that part was pretty awesome as well. And luckily for me, my opponent was able to strike back. So that part was really epic as well. Needless to say, I won this combat, I think by 6 points, what it was, because it cost 5 wounds as well as charge, and my opponent has nothing. So because he has to take a break test, he fails his break test and runs back, I think, 8 inches, but I pursue 11. So because of that, my Screamers just pursue after him, fly over them, and chop them down to pieces as well, and land up right behind the Iron Guts, which is an excellent position from the beginning, because that way I can catch him in a full envelopment during my next turn. And over here in the bottom of the screen as well, managed to win the combat on this one. My warriors managed to chop up what was left of his ogres, so that part was kind of nice, as well as Ragnar the Red managed to help them out as well. Now, because they're down to a quarter strength, technically speaking, they had to take a panic test, and they got to roll snake eyes to do it. And when I rolled the 2d6 to see if they stood their ground, I think they rolled a 7. I get a reroll because right next to their battle standard bearer, and they actually managed to get snake eyes. So because of that, my unit doesn't go anywhere, which is pretty cool, all things considered. So with that, we go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Ogre Kigndoms, and this photo is taken out of the move phase. If you notice, Dark Lord Mac has not moved his Iron Guts whatsoever. And the reason why is because, unfortunately for him, he failed his Stupidity test again. Without his general, he's only leadership 8 on this one. So the first time he rolls a 2d6, he rolls a 10. And then he rolls a second 2d6 to do a reroll because he's near his battle standard bearer, he rolls a 9. So because of that, the Iron Guts are just standing there, having no need to move right now because they're currently, stupefied with gold lust. And you see in this close-up, Stupidity strikes again because Gold Fever, it does not take any mercy whatsoever, and so his Iron Guts are still stuck right smack dab in the middle of the table. At this point that my buddy Dark Lord Matt decides to call the game because he's pretty sad about the way things are going, so it nets a victory for the Chaos Legion of Tzeentch. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go directly to the After Action Report because this battle report is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright, now it's time for the After Action Report. This is part of the battle report we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the After Action Report for the Golden Age Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report number 75, and this one ended up being a victory for yours truly. For my losses, I lost Svarthval the Weakest, which was the general of my army. However, Dark Lord Mac, he lost Taijin Khan, the Right Fist of Hell, the Red Rovers, as well as the Powder Gangers. In the end, it was magic that really won me this battle report as well. Without that magic ability, I probably would never have won this battle. I mean, it's as simple as that. that. With Taijin God being out of the picture, I completely controlled the magic phase, which gave me a lot of benefits, like with that final transmutation spell, so that part was pretty cool as well. And plus, having that stupidity special roll striking the Iron Guns twice in this battle report really helped me out because it prevented them from maneuvering and engaging my forces, which bought me a lot of time to cause a lot of damage to his units, but not so much to me. Pretty much those Iron Guts were pretty much useless for most of the battle, so because that allowed my forces to slowly surround him and get him into full envelopment as well. In the end, though, even though this game was pretty short, it was still a very fun game against an awesome opponent, and as always, I am looking forward to the rematch against Dark Lord Mac. So that's going to do it for this one, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is always appreciated. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest, greatest hobby news on our channel. That's going to do it for this one, you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, and keep on rocking.